gang. How y'all doing today? Good. I was waiting for the announcement to start. If you don't mind moving in a little closer, I can only speak so loud for so long. I'll try to do my best. My name's Autry, and I'm with a Facebook group called Rise Against Rattlesnake Roundups. Now, our purpose and our mission is to educate the general public about what happens at roundups, how the animals are treated, and how they're being over-collected from the wild. I want to ask anyone from the audience, have any of you guys ever been to a rattlesnake roundup? No one's ever been. Well, I tell you what, if you're reptile lovers, that's a good thing. A lot of really hideous stuff happens to rattlesnakes at rattlesnake roundups. Do I have anyone in the audience who can tell me why we need rattlesnakes? You, young man. I think I heard you right. They're a vital part of the food chain, and they take out animals that need to have their populations controlled. Good answer. I appreciate you. Does anyone know how many people die every year from venomous snake bite in the United States? Guesses? 5? Actually, the last statistic I heard was 9. And that was 2 years ago. I have not verified that, but it's a very low number. More people are actually killed by other animals like dogs and horses than they are by venomous snakes. So, now I love all animals, please don't take that wrong, or think that I don't like dogs, but rattlesnakes are not a public safety health risk like many of these people at these roundup festivals make them out to be. Do any of our younger people here know what a rattlesnake roundup is? Well, I'll go into it. A rattlesnake roundup is a festival that started first organized when it was in Oklahoma and Repticon in 1939. These farmers started collecting rattlesnakes and killing them because they were afraid their cattle were going to get injured, they were afraid their kids were going to get bitten, and the area they thought was overpopulated with rattlesnakes. Now what has happened today is it's turned into a huge commercial market. It generates a lot of money for a lot of these communities that host them. And my concern is that the animals are being over-collected and mistreated while they're in captivity. Have any of you guys seen Rattlesnake Republic on Animal Planet? Okay. Can anyone here tell me what that show's about? What that is a show, it's a team of sweetwater hunters in Sweetwater, Texas, that go out and collect rattlesnakes out of Sweetwater, Texas roundup. Right now they sell the rattlesnakes per pound, and the numbers they've been turning in every year have been severely decreasing. I was there in 2011, and rattlesnakes were being bought in 2010 for $5 a pound. In 2011, the market had jumped to $10 a pound. Now this year, I confirmed that the rattlesnakes were bought at $13 a pound, and that they're turning in less and less number of rattlesnakes per year. So what does that tell us? Any of our younger people? We're running out of them. That's exactly right. I have no problem with controlled hunting of almost any animal if there's an abundant supply of it. The western diamondback has been so populated through the western Oklahoma and West Texas area, a lot of people think we're not going to run out of them. And we might not. But you factor together things like drought, habitat destruction, then these hunts, where hundreds of thousands of animals are dragged out of their dens every year, and you have to look at what kind of impact that might have on our ecosystem. A lot of people think, that we're opposed to the festivals these towns put on. We are not. We're just opposed to the animal cruelty and the mass numbers they bring in. Does anyone have any idea of what bag limits are in Texas on rattlesnake? I don't know about Texas. Most of my research has been done in Oklahoma. And in Oklahoma, for 4 months of the year, you can take an unlimited amount of any species of rattlesnake. So hunters go up into the mountains and they collect 120, 150 snakes at a time. They wipe out an entire den. Now, what happens to that mountain range after a couple of years of being hunted like that? It runs out. The snakes don't breed, they don't reproduce. What happens, we've already touched on it, what happens when we don't have rattlesnakes? What do rattlesnakes eat? Any answers?
Rodents.
Rodents. Okay, now why do we need things to control the rodent population? Disease, exactly. Rattlesnakes control rodents which spread diseases that have killed more people than rattlesnakes ever have. A lot of our objection to these events and festivals is that they paint these creatures in a negative light as well. They say these really interesting things like rattlesnakes will chase you down and kill you. I've encountered rattlesnakes in the wild. I've never had one chase me down. If anyone has video of it, I'd like to see it. They say, they spread a lot of urban legends and myths about these animals. They talk about you can identify cottonmouths by their smell, that they'll drop off a tree limb and land in your boat on purpose. As a fisherman, I would be really tickled if I could have a cottonmouth drop in my boat on purpose. I have a hard time finding it. So there's a lot of irrational fear and things that get spread at these festivals that we at Rise Against Rattlesnake Roundups object to. Now, I started videotaping these festivals in 2009. Or actually, I started shooting them just with a camera. In 2011, we started videotaping them. And we found out that 3 major roundups in Oklahoma were taking rattlesnakes and sewing their mouths shut. Has anyone seen a picture of this on Facebook or on the internet? No one's seen a picture of it? Go to Rise Against Rattlesnake Roundups on Facebook or riseagainstratlesnakeroundups.com and click there and you can see pictures of it. We have some great up-close pictures of rattlesnakes that have had their fangs removed and their mouths wired shut so people can do photo opportunities with them. The one revelation we had, and one turning point, was when an attorney actually contacted us and said, you know what these people are doing is illegal. We said, no, we didn't know, because we didn't. So he gave us the law, the state statute, and the title on which it falls under, and we looked it up, and sure enough, under Oklahoma law, we cannot willingly mutilate or torture an animal. So we put it out on YouTube, we put it out on Facebook. Who here has a Facebook account? Almost everyone, I'm sure, unless you've got sick of it all and deleted it, which I've talked to a few people who have. And we know how things spread on the internet, right? Well, what happened? The secret of what they were doing and how they were making this money got out. They charged people $5 a pop to have your picture taken with a live Western Diamondback rattlesnake. When I first filmed it, I did not know what I was filming. I thought they were using venomoids, or snakes that had been surgically altered. And when I got up on them and I started holding them, I was like, his mouth's unshut. The lady was like, yeah, so their mouth's shut. And I'm like, oh wow. I couldn't believe what I was seeing in front of me. I was holding a live rattlesnake that has had its mouth sewn shut. And then later on we found out that that's not a really good thing to do. Of course, it doesn't sound like a good thing to do to any animal. And, reptiles especially have different metabolism systems, different things. So, it's a painful thing to do to them. So we don't want to do it. We want to speak out against it. Another problem with rattlesnake roundups is the method of collection. Does anybody here know how rattlesnakes are collected from the wild? Do you know? Anyone here take a stab at how a lot of hunters catch rattlesnakes from roundups? You're exactly right, young man. What's your name? Trevor. It's very nice to meet you, Trevor. A lot of rattlesnake hunters gas rattlesnake dens. They take ammonia or gasoline and take a spray bottle and they spray it in a den, oftentimes where rattlesnakes are still hibernating. Now the problem with this is not only does it destroy that den site for the rattlesnakes, but also other species we need as well, such as the Great Plains toad, bull snakes, coach whips, other things that den in rattlesnake areas, a lot of amphibians. If you're here, you're a reptile amphibian person, you know how sensitive amphibians are and their skin is to chemicals. That gas can just destroy a lot of different species besides just rattlesnakes. Now, is gassing legal in Oklahoma? It's not. It's actually outlawed in Oklahoma, but how is it controlled if it's on private land? It's not. That's the answer to the question. The Texas Parks and Wildlife Department is considering making gassing an illegal means of collection from rattlesnake in the state of Texas. And part of what Rise Against Rattlesnake Roundups wants to do is encourage people here to write the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department and say, hey, you know, we don't think it's cool for you guys to be letting hunters gas rattlesnakes. Will it stop it altogether? No. Will it address it? Yes. Will it let them know that there's a large number of people out there keeping an eye on these festivals and these events? Yes. Does anyone here, no one here has ever been to a rattlesnake roundup, right? Okay, give me some places of where you guys live. Where do you live, man? What town?
Irving.
Irving. You, sir?
Garland.
Garland?
Lancaster.
Lancaster? Okay, you, sir? Midlothian. Okay, you're out in big country, aren't you? Well, Odessa area. You guys have a lot of rattlesnakes out there?
Yeah.
There's a few? Yeah. Well, good. So you're the one with the roundup close to you, right?
I wouldn't know. I haven't been to one.
Okay. Yeah, they say it's the world's biggest. I don't know if that's really been proven, but the Sweetwater, Texas roundup is by the Odessa area. Now, when you look at pounds of snakes taken in, I think there's some in Oklahoma that are operating that are actually much bigger. But financially, Sweetwater is much better marketed. Does anybody know how much money the Sweetwater Rattlesnake Roundup brings into Nolan County every year? USA Today reported, I believe it was between $9 and $11 million comes in to Nolan County every year because of the Sweetwater Rattlesnake Roundup. Restaurants and shops and everything around there, they get back in the black or they start making money again, and hotel rooms see a spike in business. They stage rodeos and things around these times because they know there's going to be people in there. People come from all over the world to go to roundups in Texas and Oklahoma. So, do we want to do anything that hurts their commerce or that money coming into this town? No. We just want them to treat the animals good. And if they have to kill them for food, we don't want them making a spectacle of it. That's where our problem lies. We feel that, you know, there's a lot of things that go on at these roundups that young children are participating in. Some of my videos that I've put out there have been age restricted on YouTube. YouTube says you have to be 18 or have your parents' consent to see some of my videos. The videos of a 5-year-old with his dad sticking a rattlesnake. What does that tell us? I mean, you know, it's kind of a slam dunk to me that a lot of people think that's kind of an inappropriate thing to just have out there. A lot of what I've done has been the groundwork and research for our organization, which is called Rise Against Rattlesnake Roundups again. And I've traveled to several different roundups in Texas and Oklahoma. And we have an East Coast affiliate branch that has traveled to the ones in Georgia and Alabama that still operate. Does anyone know what kind of snakes are hunted in Georgia and Alabama? Eastern diamondback rattlesnake is the one that is seen at roundups in Opp, Alabama and Wiggum, Georgia. Those are the only 2 rattlesnake roundups in the eastern half of the country that still kill and torture animals. Now, I'm not as concerned, I'm very concerned about eastern diamondback because which has a bigger population, eastern diamondback or western? Did you say the western?
No, I saw it.
Actually, the eastern is close to making the endangered species list. The Centers for Biological Diversity has actually filed a petition with the United States Fish and Wildlife Service to get it covered as an endangered species. So they've been reduced from 90% of their original habitat. And there's only small pockets of them exist. the rattlesnake roundups that happen out east cannot be helping this issue. Now, the idea we came up with at RAR is we thought, why not start protecting an animal before it becomes endangered? Why wait until we're in crisis mode to conserve and protect an animal? Now, some people call us animal rights activists, PETA people, and we're not that. A lot of us, some of us are against eating meat, some of us are not. We have all kinds of different people in our group. We all agree on one common thing, is that rattlesnake roundups, in their current state, can and are destructive to the environment, not just for the rattlesnakes, but for other species, and eventually for human beings. Does anybody know of a rodent-borne disease that they might have heard of recently?
Not recently, but bubonic plague.
Bubonic plague. Did you know it's making a resurgence in the southwestern United States?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, how is it spread?
Rats.
By rats. Rats and the fleas that, carry with them in the bacteria. So guess what? We need some rattlesnakes out there controlling the rat population. Can anyone answer how many rats a year does an average rattlesnake eat? In the West Texas and Arizona areas, through that level, probably 20 to 25 rats a year for one snake. You guys have a longer warm season, so they actually get to hunt longer, spend less time in formation. That's very good for the rattlesnake and for us, because they help control these populations. In Oklahoma, they have actual shorter hunting or shorter busy season for the rattlesnakes, because in Oklahoma it stays colder longer. There was a roundup in Kansas, but it recently has shut down and is quit existing because people weren't interested in going to it. So that was good news for me, because that was one less one I had to mess with the document. Does anyone know why we need rattlesnakes besides the things we've already mentioned? Does anyone know of any direct benefit to humans that might be derived from rattlesnakes? Yes. It was Taylor? Trevor, I'm sorry, Trevor. You're exactly right. The venom from snakes, like copperheads, rattlesnakes, cottonmouths, and other vipers from all over the world, is being currently researched in laboratories by people who are working on things that can possibly cure cancer, possibly cure diabetes, can possibly help treat hypertension and stroke. And also, they've already got medicines that use rattlesnake venom to help in the event of a blood clot or a heart attack. Now, how many of us in this room, this whole group right here, has had a relative suffer from one of those diseases? Almost everyone. Everyone, sooner or later, knows someone whose life has been affected by cancer, heart disease, high blood pressure, or stroke. At that point, at which we look at that, we have to think, do we really want to be destroying these animals, or do we want to be making sure that they're around? My vote is, I want to make sure they're around. A friend of mine recently was contracted by another gentleman to collect some copperheads for a study. I asked him, I said, what's the study on? He said it's a cancer study that some doctors in Dartmouth are doing. I think that was the college, don't quote me on that. But they're actually researching venom for tumor reduction purposes. So, I mean, once again, if those animals aren't there, where does that leave us? It doesn't leave us in a good place for these potential cures. And basically, does anyone know how many rattlesnake roundups are in Texas? I think about 8 the last time I checked. Some are kind of undergroundish, they pop up and go. How many are in Oklahoma? I think we have 7. Is it 7, Kim? I believe 7. 3 of those, or 4 of those, are actually what I call major roundups, where they collect snakes and eat thousands of pounds. How much does a rattlesnake weigh? A pound, 2 pounds, 3 pounds if it's a big one. So that tells you they're taking a lot of animals out of the environment. Now, I have confronted a lot of these people and ask them, hey, why do you guys have to take so many snakes? Can you not do a show without this many snakes? And a lot of times they say, the only snake is a what? We get that attitude a lot. The only good snake is a dead snake. Well, I've just given you several reasons why the only good snake to me is one that is alive and producing venom and helping control rodent populations and keeping the balance of nature in check. So, are these people wrong or bad, or are they just uneducated about the ecosystem and how it works? I would say, yeah, I have that vote. I've visited with a lot of them. I have no problem with them. A lot of them are great people. They just see snakes differently than us reptile people see them. And that's what we have to do, is eventually we have to work with them and help them bring humane alternatives to their roundups and festivals. And right now, all the roundups in Pennsylvania have went no-kill. That's because the timber rattlesnake is a protected species in that state. Hunters are allowed to take one, it's pit tagged, they're not allowed to kill it, they have to return it to the exact same spot where it was captured, and they've been catching the same snakes year after year. That to me is my idea of how a roundup should run personally. I like that. They provide real education at the shows in Pennsylvania. I have a friend in Pennsylvania who's a member of our group who's verified, what kind of education they do. It's legitimate scientific education, not urban legend. So, anyway, Claxton, Georgia, last year, recently saw what was going on in Pennsylvania and said, why don't we do that? Why don't we stop, killing rattlesnakes, selling the skin, selling the meat, and just have it be a wildlife celebration? Well, they did. And I have not confirmed this either, but from what I understand, the revenue actually went up this year, and they received more support from groups who, said we will support you if you go humane. So it looks like a win-win for the people, the community, and the animals. That's what we'd like to see happen in Oklahoma and Texas. Next year, in 2014, in Leander, Texas, we're going to put on the first humane rattlesnake. We're calling it a festival, not a roundup. We're going to have people in from all over the country. They're going to be bringing in professional venom extractors from Kentucky, people who work with black mambas and king cobras on a daily basis. People like that are going to be there. We might even have some celebrity guests there. People you've seen on Animal Planet days. Back in the day when it was good. Sorry about that. I hope I didn't offend anybody, but we are actually having a silent auction over at the first booth to raise funds for the Leander Festival. And it's going to take us a little bit of money to get started. So anyway, we hope you guys get by there and at least drop a bid on something or buy one of our shirts. That'll directly benefit it. These shirts right here, they're selling for what, $20?
Those are 15.
$15. Doing it just to get the message out. You wear one of these, you get in a discussion with someone almost everywhere you go. If you know your facts, you'll realize that people don't really know what they're talking about when it comes to rattlesnake roundups. They'll say things like these towns are overpopulated. Well, Okeene, Oklahoma recently claimed that. Their town was overpopulated. But, and you can see us on YouTube, I've got it out there. If you go to our channel, the hunter admits that they imported some snakes from Texas into Okeene, which is 10 miles south of the Kansas border. Why are you trucking in snakes from Texas if you're overpopulated? These guys aren't making sense. So I think that's a big red flag, that they're telling us they have to get big ones from other areas and from areas that have not been hunted and things like that. We've got to really think about what's happening to this population. We have not found a lot of people who really care. We've contacted wildlife departments. They're too busy. They don't want to work with them. They don't want to send us to study. Or they thank us for contacting them and then we never hear from them. So we've taken it upon ourselves to form a nationwide network of people to work on this, help research what can be done about it, and how these festivals can be changed with their cooperation into humane events where the towns make the money, the people win, the community wins, and the animals win. That's all we're after. Does anyone here have any questions about rattlesnake roundups that I can answer? Well, my name is Ray Autry. You can find me on Facebook as Ray Autry. Our Facebook group is called Rise Against Rattlesnake Roundups. We we do push a lot of video through there. Some of it is a little graphic. There is some, stuff of an agricultural nature with these animals that goes on. We put on that channel, and I invite you all to join it, share it with your friends, take a look at it, see what we're about. And if you agree with what we stand for, join us. We need help. We've got a couple of thousand people in this group, and we need more people on the ground, more people to write letters, more people to contact media outlets, and help get our side of the story out. The local news media in towns like Oklahoma City, which is a few miles away from several roundups, make these things out to be these festivals where it's all good, clean, family-friendly fun. One of these festivals last year was caught selling a live rattlesnake to a young person under the age of 18 for less than $20. Yeah. So what happens then? I mean, the vendors here are selling venomous reptiles, but you have to be over the age of 18. You have to sign a letter of consent. The animals walk to your truck. They're questioning people to find out if you know what you're talking about before they make the sale. I have checked with our venomous dealers to make sure they are doing that. So it's a huge plug for Repticon in my book, because I think this is really one of the more professional reptile shows that's out there. Well, anyway, gang, my voice is starting to get hoarse. This was an impromptu lecture. I thank you all for bearing with me. If there's any questions, I'm going to be in that four-corner booth all weekend. Feel free to stop by, drop something on the silent auction. Look us up on Facebook and on YouTube. And my name's Autry, and if nobody has any questions, I'll let you guys get back to shopping and buying. But I thank you all for taking the time to listen to me speak today. And you guys have a good day. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Carry on.